All right, let's talk about a word that can feel, well, huge: awakening. It sounds so complex, right? Like some mystical state you have to spend decades trying to achieve. But what if I told you the first step isn't some grand quest at all? What if it's just about noticing something you already have? In this explainer, we're going to break it down into one simple, accessible action. Let's get into it. You know that feeling, right? Tearing the house apart, getting all frustrated looking for your glasses, and then you realize they've been on your head the entire time. That silly everyday moment is honestly the perfect analogy for this whole awakening thing. The big idea here is that we spend so much of our lives searching for peace or clarity, thinking it's something out there we have to find. But it's not lost at all, it's just covered up. And this brings us to a really beautiful concept: Buddha nature. Now, don't get hung up on the word. This has nothing to do with becoming a Buddha. It's the simple understanding that your fundamental nature, who you really are underneath it all, is already clear, awake, and peaceful. The problem isn't that you're broken or lacking something. The only problem is the mental clutter, that nonstop stream of thoughts, worries, and judgments that's covering it up. So the goal isn't to build something new, it's just to clear away the clutter and realize what's already there. So what is this clutter exactly? Well, to really get the solution, we've got to be super clear about the problem. And the problem is that most of us, for most of our lives, are basically dreaming. We're living inside a reality that's almost completely built out of our own thoughts. I mean, really think about it. An anxious thought just pops into your head out of nowhere and bam, your body tenses up. Someone cuts you off in traffic. You instantly slap the label idiot on them and you feel real physical anger. We're not actually experiencing the event itself. We're experiencing our reaction to the event. We're so caught up in this dream, constantly reacting to our own internal commentary as if it's 100% true, and most of the time, we don't even notice we're doing it. And this slide just lays it out perfectly. On one side, you've got the dream state. You are inside the thought. You are the anger. You are the anxiety. But on the other side, in the awakening, you take a step back. You become the observer of the thought. You see it for what it is, just a temporary blip of mental energy, like a cloud passing through the sky. So the big shift isn't about stopping your thoughts. Good luck with that. It's about changing your relationship to them. Which brings us to the solution. And it's so simple, it almost sounds like a trick. If the problem is being completely lost in the dream, then the very first step to waking up is to, well, just notice that you're dreaming. Now, this practice has a name you've probably heard a million times: mindfulness. But let's just strip away all the complicated baggage that might come with that word. At its absolute core, mindfulness is just this: the simple act of becoming an impartial witness to what's happening in your own head without letting it drag you around. You're just watching the show. And this is the most empowering part of it all. You don't need a special cushion. You don't need to go on a silent retreat. The very instant you catch yourself lost in a thought spiral and you just internally say, there's that worry about work again, or, oh, hello, anxiety, there you are, you've done it. In that tiny moment of non-judgmental noticing, you have stepped out of the dream and into awareness. You've taken the first step. It's that simple. Okay, so this sounds good in theory, right? But how do we actually put this into practice in our crazy, busy lives? Let's walk through a really powerful and, more importantly, practical way to think about this. This sky and clouds analogy is a game changer. Just picture it for a second. Your awareness, your true nature, is like a vast, open blue sky. It's stable, it's always there, it's perfectly clear. Now, your thoughts, your anxieties, your desires, they're just clouds. Sometimes the clouds are light and fluffy, sometimes they're dark and stormy. But here's the absolute key. The clouds are never, ever the sky. They are just temporary weather patterns passing through the sky. You are not your thoughts. You are the sky that holds them. So where do you start? 3 simple things. First, stop seeking. Seriously, stop trying so hard to find peace. All that effort just creates more mental noise. Instead, just start seeing. See the mental chaos that's already there. Awareness of the distraction is the beginning of focus. Second, and this one's a little tricky, acknowledge the ego's merit badge. You have to notice that the part of you that desperately wants to become enlightened is often just your ego looking for another achievement, another shiny badge to wear. Real awareness starts when that striving eye just relaxes and gets out of its own way. And finally, the most practical part. When a tough thought or a difficult emotion comes up, just remember the analogy. I am the sky. This is just a cloud passing through. Now, it might seem like just noticing is too small of an action to really make a difference. I mean, come on, right? But this tiny shift from being completely swamped by our thoughts to simply observing them is absolutely transformational. Here's a great way to think about why this matters so much. Imagine your mind is a window that you look through to see the world. If that window is covered in years of dirt and grime, your entire view is going to be distorted and dark, right? You can't even begin to clean it until you first step back and go, whoa, this window is filthy. That's what awareness is. It's the simple, crucial act of seeing the dust for the very first time. In Buddhist philosophy, this dust on the window has specific names. They're called the three poisons: greed, anger, and delusion. These are seen as the core patterns that really obscure our naturally clear mind. By practicing mindfulness, we're just learning to see this dust for what it is, without judging it or getting lost in it. And once you can see it clearly, well, that's when the process of clearing it can actually begin.
And look, this idea isn't just from one tradition. The psychologist Carl Jung put it so beautifully. He said, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes." It's so true. As long as we're looking outside of ourselves, for someone to blame, for something to fix us, for the next distraction, we're still asleep. The moment we turn our gaze inward, not with judgment, but just with simple, clear awareness, that's when we start to wake up.
So really, this whole thing isn't just an interesting theory to kick around. It's an invitation. You don't have to wait for the perfect time or place. The practice begins right now, with your very next thought. So I'll just leave you with this one question to carry with you. What if you just noticed the next thought that passed by and did nothing about it at all?